Alrighty, guys, we are back with some more trucky clusters.
We are.
And smash like!
Ugh, again with this shit.
And, alright, so, yeah, what I was saying earlier about PewDiePie is, he even made a video. He was just like, please, guys, do not claim that this is anything about race or where you live. T-Series, while yes, they are from India, it's not that I'm waging a war against Indians, I'm waging a war against T-Series. Which he still says, he was like, I don't care, it's just fun. He even said, like, this has been the funnest time in his YouTube career, or at least in the last several years.
And I mean, think about it. I mean, when's the last time his name was super relevant in something that was going on? Like, now suddenly people are talking about him and he's getting subscribers. Like, I'm sure his fucking hit count's going up. He's making more money just because this is a thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I would lean into it, too.
And also, it's just, like, it's gotta be fun. Like, to know that you have so many people, like, fighting on your side. Like, Boogie, 2998 or 198. He's like this really, like, large physically man. I think he just actually had, like, lipo surgery or something. But, like, he's a very well-known vlogger, internet, personality. And, I remember this fucking level. Jesus. Yeah. But anyways, he even made a video where he's like, I will not stop eating salads until PewDiePie beats T-Series. And, so, like, there's a lot of people who've been, like, trying to help him. Mr. Beast even made that video where he's, like, saying PewDiePie 100,000 times, and he is just telling people, like, please, if you're new here, subscribe to PewDiePie. I don't care if you subscribe to me, just subscribe to PewDiePie. Like, everyone is fighting for PewDiePie. It's just cool to see, like, I always get, like, a little emotional, even though this is, like, a silly thing, but, like, right now this is considered one of the most impactful things that YouTube has, like, ever gone through. And it's just I get emotional whenever I see people as a society coming together to help one another, or to, like, to fight for, like, a similar cause. Does that make sense?
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Like, even though it's something silly, but it's like to see so many people, like, all on the same side and, like, trying to help out a cause. It's just cool. I like seeing that.
Brings us all together.
And obviously, it should be clear that, like, I am rooting for PewDiePie. The amount of subscribers that he was gaining versus them has just changed drastically, because PewDiePie was predicted to lose this race as of, like, October. And then, like, once people started hopping on the bandwagon of, like, subscribe to PewDiePie, YouTubers have been, like, going out and posting flyers on, like, telephone poles telling you to vote for PewDiePie.
Vote for him.
Yeah, like, handing out flyers and shit like that. Spreading awareness. This one guy was just like, yeah, I actually got most of my neighborhood to vote for PewDiePie.
Yeah, I mean, it's a concept that makes sense. That, the last thing most people want is more corporations involved in any aspect of our fucking lives. And even though it strikes everyone as a small one, because it's who's got the most subscribers on YouTube, it's like, sure, it comes across as small, but there's implications following that. I mean, think about the ads on YouTube. I don't know how many people watching remember a time when YouTube did not have ads, but it didn't. And now we've got companies that are actively being sponsored on things, and YouTube is taking money from these people so that they can promote your shit more. I mean, it's becoming more and more commercial just because it got popular. Everything that gets popular ends up becoming pretty commercial in the end. But yeah, the entire platform of YouTube is designed to avoid that kind of a thing. That's why it started, and that's why it was popular. You didn't need to be a company to produce things. And now it's hitting a point, like YouTube Red exists, their own production company where they're making their own shit and they're advertising it constantly on my goddamn phone, and I'm like, I don't want your goddamn YouTube Red, leave me alone. And yeah, anything else that comes out like that, but it's just, I mean, when a company decides to jump on it because there are people there and there's a market, eventually it's going to just become those companies, and then nobody's going to like it anymore. And it's going to fizzle out and die, Because it's like an alternative, you mentioned before, it's an alternative to, like, TV, especially, like, in a place like India, where that's where you get your visual entertainment from. And it is. I mean, there's shows and shit that just run on YouTube, and I don't even have a TV. Most of the shit I watch is via YouTube or, like, Hulu or something. So it's a real thing, And if more and more companies end up in it, it's just going to end up being a bunch of fucking companies with a bunch of fucking money doing the same goddamn thing, and the independent people can't do it. And we've already seen all the rules that YouTubers get now about things they can and cannot do and say. So it's already being restricted, and companies don't have to abide by that shit.
Yeah.
Because they have money and they're paying YouTube money to do it. You know what I mean? So, like, it seems like a small, insignificant thing, but it's a point that's being made to YouTube as a company, like, well, listen, we don't want that shit. We were talking earlier in the other video that we were recording about Tumblr doing the exact same thing. The only reason that happened is because it's owned by fucking, Yahoo, which is owned by Verizon. That's the only reason they decided to ban porn on Tumblr. Before that, like, it wasn't a problem. It's like, oh, it's a company, and now it's becoming a company-based thing. And people liked Tumblr because it wasn't, and you could be yourself, and you could be different and counterculture, and completely stand out from the average person anywhere else you'd see in the world or the internet, and find a place where you can be happy. And Tumblr was a pretty accepting community from what I've seen. That was their deal. It's not going to be that way anymore. YouTube was accepting for people creating their own content. That's great. But if it ends up just being a bunch of companies, it's not going to be like that anymore. Yeah. So it is something vaguely. But I don't even really watch PewDiePie unless, like, you put his videos on. I probably have seen 2 PewDiePie videos in the last 5 years, you know? But it makes sense, and ultimately he's exactly like we are and were, and, you know, where it's just a dude decided to make some funny shit and see what happens, and he was able to be successful. Yeah. So good, and that we need more people like that to be successful. And as far as I know, he's not working. I'm sure he probably is getting money directly from YouTube, but he's not working for, like, he's not a company, he's not a faceless organization. There's a name, there's a person. That's what he is. That's good. Jesus Christ, these trucks. Sorry, that one just, like, was coming right at your face.
Yeah, and, you know what's sad, too, is, like, I really doubt that YouTube wants T-Series to lose, or even cares, because, I mean, I know that YouTube knows about this race that's going on. Yeah. It's literally...
They're owned by Google. Google knows what's going on the internet.
Yeah. It's the 2 biggest channels in history, like, They have to keep making custom awards for PewDiePie, because you know how you get, like, the play button.
Right, he keeps breaking, like, their top awards.
Yeah, so they have to, like, keep making new ones, and people are just like, "What do you think that YouTube's gonna give PewDiePie when he reaches 100 million subscribers?" Because, like,
blowjob.
Yeah, I mean, like, I remember when, like, the #1 subscribed channel in the world was like, "Oh, they have 500,000 subscribers."
Not so much anymore.
And but it's like, T-Series is probably making YouTube a lot of money because they're bringing in insane amounts of views. Mm-hmm. So, like, that's a lot of ad revenue.
And if you think about it again, you mentioned with the population of India, I mean, that's literally 1/7 of the world's population. And those are all people that may be interested, and apparently already are, at least to some degree, a lot of them, interested in that show. That's 1 billion fucking people. Well, that's huge for them. That's why movie releases in China are always a big deal. It's like people don't even think about it, but China's got such a psychotic number of people in it.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal when a movie comes out in China because you could make all your fucking money back just there. It all comes down to how many consumers can you get out of it. And yeah, YouTube is likely to get a lot of people now from India now that this is more of an option for them, and T-Series is probably a great way to open into that for them.
So YouTube's probably just like, yeah, we really don't care because
yeah, nice.
We're gonna make our money anyways.
Uh-huh. Yeah, one way or the other, they're getting subscribers onto YouTube.
Yeah.
People are paying attention to YouTube, whether they're on PewDiePie or T-Series or anything else.
And honestly, like, I remember when, like, years ago, I was like, oh, PewDiePie is fucking garbage. Like, it's just, like, immature screaming and swearing all the time. But, like...
Not like us.
The fuck you talking about, dick jokes? But honestly... so close.
Really?
Honestly, I think PewDiePie has become legitimately pretty entertaining to watch in the last couple of years. He's... I mean, he doesn't even really, like, do much gaming anymore, because he just expressed, like... He was like, yeah, at a certain point, I was only gaming because, like, it's what you guys wanted me to do. Mm-hmm. And obviously, like, I'm gonna do what you guys want me to do because that brings me views, which means money. And, like, he's very transparent about this.
Just dove directly into the flames.
Like, he's very open about it. He's very open with his fans about what happens. Whenever there's any kind of controversy, because PewDiePie is, he's definitely had quite a few controversies.
You're famous enough, you've got controversy.
Yeah.
It's the only way that happens.
And every time it happens, he's super transparent. He's just like, yeah, I fucked up. In fact, he even makes fun of himself all the time because he's just like, yeah, blah, blah, blah.
You're not gonna make it.
We all know about PewDiePie and the N-word because he accidentally said the N-word while streaming one time.
God. Sidebar, but I said people could remember when YouTube didn't have ads. You remember when that wasn't a big deal? Like, obviously it's always been a deal to some degree, but now, if you're a public figure and you say that, it could be just over for you immediately.
And you know what's funny too is like,
how it was.
Like, iDubbbz, who I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
He's a big YouTuber. I mean, he doesn't do stuff every single day like you know, a lot of people and like PewDiePie and stuff. Mm-hmm. But like, one of his things is like he's very anti-PC. And,
nice.
One of his phrases, which, you know, I guess...
But we're gonna have to censor it.
Yeah, I guess I'll just have to be safe, is...
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
And, like, he's very clear, and he makes it very clear that he's not using it in a hateful, like, demeanor. He's not saying it to target anyone. Like, in fact, most of the time, he says it...
That was all fucked up, but you made it happen. It was just mistakes.
One of the things he does is like he likes to push the boundaries of like what is acceptable and what isn't, and like that's why he says some of the things he does. Is he says it because he's just like, I should be able to say this, and I should be able to say it without my, you know, my public figure. Like being tarnished because it's just a word, you know, or a group of words, you know, whatever the phrase that I said was. And
whatever it was, I don't even know what those words mean.
But like, and it's weird because it's like he's established himself as anti-PC and like against a lot of like, you know, how everyone gets offended by everything these days. Mm-hmm. And, like, he's established himself like that. So when he says that, no one cares. And he doesn't receive any hate for it. The dislike bar is always very small on his videos. Mm-hmm. No one ever, like, gives his videos any hate for the things he says. But then you have a public figure who, you know, they slipped up one time and said that, and then everyone's just like, oh, PewDiePie's a racist. And it's like, no, he just said a word.
Yeah,
like,
you know, and I will say this, like, probably every single person, or at least, I don't know, okay, that's probably not true, but everyone I know probably knows someone who has said one of those words or both of those words before, and you know 100% for a fact that they're not being hateful, and that they're not a racist or whatever it may be. Like, everyone knows someone who will say that but not actually be, you know, prejudiced. Everyone,
oh, yeah.
Everyone. So it's a known thing, and I understand what the issue with it is and why people don't like it and what the problem is with it. I get that. But for anyone to claim, oh, you used that word, you must be prejudiced in this way, I'm like, do you live in the world? Because you probably know someone who has said that, and you know for a fact they aren't prejudiced. So you know that it's not necessarily this. It's not the same thing. You could argue that they're perpetrating it, or that they're making it more casual in real life, and you would make good points with that. But to claim, oh, you're racist because you said this racial term, I know plenty of people who've used racial terms that are not racist. I know for 100%, especially if they're just doing it for comedy or just side bullshit for themselves to laugh. You know, like it's a thing.
And I've heard some people say, like, you know, when like I'll use PewDiePie as an example again. So when he said the N-word, he said it because, like, someone shot him, and he was just like, you and people were just like, oh, PewDiePie's a fucking racist. And it's like, no, he literally just said a word out of frustration. Like, and, like, also he's trying to be funny and entertaining. And, like, so, like, the fact that he used that word to call someone that because they shot him in a video game, I'm sorry, that's funny. Like, just get the fuck over it. But then, like, and I've heard some people, like, one side of the argument is like, oh, it all depends on context. Which, yes, I do agree with that. I think it depends on context.
Yeah.
And then I've heard some other people say, I mean, this is like fucking Republicans versus Democrats. Like, both sides are very passionate. But there's a large group of people that also say context doesn't matter. It does not matter what context you use that word in. If you use that word, you are a racist.
I'm sorry, that's completely fucking stupid and wrong.
Yeah.
What if you're quoting somebody?
I am verbatim quoting someone. I just don't know who. I can't remember who. But whenever I see a controversy like that, I like to just like dig in and chew up the juicy gossip.
Oh yeah, juicy.
But yeah, they're saying like context does not matter. If you say that word, it's because you are a racist. And I heavily disagree with that because it's like, oh, so what? Every teacher is a racist because, you know, you guys read what was like one of the books that used the N-word, like Huckleberry Finn or Tom Sawyer? Tom Sawyer, right?
Sawyer, yeah.
Yeah. So like, if your teacher read that book with you, that makes your teacher a racist.
Right, yeah.
And I heard people ask those people that question, and they're like, yeah, that makes the teacher a racist. If they can live with themselves saying that word, it's because they are a racist.
Oh,
if they weren't racist, they wouldn't allow themselves to say that.
Yeah,
they wouldn't even
not
find the
true at
strength
all.
to say that.
The strength. Maybe you're just a weak fucking person. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what it is. Maybe you can't separate reality from fucking just having a conversation and the intent behind what a word is. Maybe you're the problem here.
Yeah.
You ever consider that? Maybe they're not less human than you. Maybe you just can't fucking handle something that makes total sense and is in no way hurtful if it's not being used in a hurtful form.
Yeah.
But we will continue this in our next episode.
All right, guys. Man.
Or not. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, we will see you guys tomorrow. Smash like, fuck yeah. And bye-bye.
Bye, friends.